every foolish decision comes with a terrible price.
Camden County, Georgia. Blasting down the shoulder, screaming past Saturday commuters, this stolen Buick tears up a Georgia highway. Just minutes ago, the driver pulled away from a service station without paying. Usually an absent-minded mistake that most drivers are happy to correct. But the way this hellion chews up the asphalt, there must be more than a $20 tank of gas at stake. The officer hangs tight as they barrel into the service lane. He tries to get a read of the plates, but there's only a temporary dealer's tag, which tells him nothing about the driver's identity. All the sergeant knows is that the suspect has a full tank of gas and a full head of steam. The pursuing sergeant's siren moves traffic to the right, but the suspect again slices up the breakdown lane. Drivers don't know which way to turn.
I need some help. We're running about 90 to 100.
The Buick cuts off hapless drivers as it swings wildly back into the fast lane. But when the road ahead jams up, the gas thief returns to the one open avenue. The pursuing officer knows he's the only unit around. Boxing this maniac in is not an option. As the fugitive hammers down the shoulder, the sergeant makes the decision to take out the suspect by himself. If the Buick enters a vacant length of highway, and if the officer can get close enough, the sergeant can end this chase quickly.
I'm attempting to catch up with that.
The officer squeezes more power from his engine. Moments later, the crook pulls into the clear. Topping 110, the sergeant inches closer to his target. But slower drivers ahead compel the officer to drop back, and the suspect escapes once again down the shoulder. The road's too crowded for the officer to get ahead. Every attempt is cut off by unknowing vehicles in the line of fire. The suspect sees a construction zone and tries to lure the officer into a crash.
I need some help.
He then desperately dodges between vehicles. Other drivers are thrown into confusion. Disaster seems imminent, but he pulls out, almost ramming the police car. In his desperate bid to gain more distance, the suspect miscalculates, but somehow manages to pull back onto the road. Pushing the speedometer to a hair-raising 120 miles an hour, every ounce his engine can muster, the officer moves in to cut the suspect off a second time. But traffic ahead again forces him to fall back. The suspect sees his familiar escape route open. He shoots for it and floors the gas. But then, the officer's worst fear comes true. The gas thief thought he could pull the same move he tried a dozen times before. But when a truck pulls aside, he skids out of control and slams into the sedan. The family of four is shaken, but thankfully, no one is injured. The officer takes the suspect into custody and confirms the civilians are okay. While assistance arrived, the sergeant interrogates the driver. Unbelievably, the stolen gas was his only reason to run.
I'm trying to pull you over, I'm paying for that gas at extra 4. All you gotta do is give me 20 bucks, you'll be on your way.
Any one of these drivers could have been the victim of this maniac's insanity. Hearing a siren, most civilians will pull onto the shoulder, which is exactly where this madman tried to make his escape. For this family of four, a peaceful drive on a Saturday afternoon turned into a moment of living hell. And all for $20 worth of gas. Calhoun, Georgia. This drug dealer is wanted for a triple shooting, but he's about to meet his match.
And Dixie with me also.
The big pickup is an ordnance enforcement vehicle, specifically chosen to patrol this major drug trafficking highway.
Going back on I-35.
The suspect is clearly outclassed, but he's a desperate maniac with nothing to lose. He blazes toward a blind intersection and a truck hurtling straight toward him. Miraculously, he slips through, rocketing up the on-ramp as the officers slow for the stop sign. But instead of sticking to the asphalt, the maniac blazes up the embankment, almost stalling his economy sports car. The officers are not so brash.
10-4, I'm with you.
They know they have the upper hand on the open highway, but the suspect's sporty car can outmaneuver both the burly pickup and the police cruiser. The officers realize that if the crazed man escapes onto twisting back roads, he'll gain the advantage.
10-4, just past exit 133.
So they've got to beat him on the freeway or lose him for good.
Northbound on I-35 still.
Stuck on the interstate, the suspect pulls more insane stunts, squeezing between a semi and the guardrail to outrace the deputy. But the powerful pickup easily closes the lead and begins to pull ahead. The frustrated suspect sideswipes him, but the massive truck brushes the blow away.
Very good, driver wreck, N6.
Unimpressed by the futile show of force, the deputy passes the pipsqueak, then returns push for shove.
Knock him over now.
The drug dealer panics. He knows he won't survive this duel on the highway.
Just cross, we get on the line, Dylan.
He has to get off the open road and away from the pickup any way he can.
I believe we're coming up on 134.
But the deputy keeps pressing his own advantage, blocking the suspect and herding him to the opposite side of the road.
N6, try not to let him get off on 134.
The suspect hopes his wild maneuvers will catch the deputy off guard. He dashes across all lanes, but the bulky pickup blocks his path. The drug pusher jukes left, then right, almost clipping another vehicle. Still, the sports car can't draw the deputy away.
Coming up on exit 134.
At the last second, the frantic thug lunges for the off-ramp, but his agility finally fails him.
10-50.
The 4x4 doubles back, and both officers prove who has the decisive advantage now.
Get on the ground!
This dangerous drug pusher thought he could run circles around the law. But even though he had a quick little car and a tank full of bravado,
There you try to wreck N6.
he found that running from the law is just plain crazy.
10-50.
Just ahead, on police video, criminals this clueless make police work look easy. It doesn't get more obvious than this.
This isn't a car that can hide very easily.
The most blatant bad guys cops have ever seen. Next.
FX presents one of the